and this is Anne Mitchell, by the way. I hope it's not lost on you all that the day I decide to do a presentation on how to organize yourself is the day I can't get myself organized enough to know what time it's supposed to be. And I do apologize for the changes in time, and I hope that didn't throw anybody too much. I will try and be consistent more often. So today, I'm going to talk to you all about how to organize your documents, how to organize your research. This is the hardest thing for me. I'm not talking about it, but doing it, right? I have, if you're anything like me, you probably can tell me this is the same. I have piles and piles of papers. And they're not all in the same room or in the same location. Some of them are in my bedroom, some of them are in my office, some of them are at work, some of them are in a folder that's somewhere, God only knows where it is, right? All of this stuff is everywhere. Oh, and I have a lot of it on a hard drive. And I have some of it on my computer, and I have some on a different computer. How do I get myself organized? Because I have so much stuff, and I really want to bring it together, and I really want it to work. I really want to be able to get it into my tree and organize so that I can find it again. So I've come up with what I think is a fairly simple system. Now, it may or may not work for you, and you may have to modify it some, but I think it's simple enough that I can stick with it. And for me, that's always the key, right? It has to be simple so I can actually do it and I can remember how to do it. So let me just run through the basics and then I'll show you what I'm doing. And then y'all can send me mail or let me know and if this is working for you or if you have a different way of doing it. You'll probably want to tailor it to fit your own needs. All right, so let's get organized. Because if you can get all of your research organized and start to go through it, you might actually learn some things. Organizing your data is a great way to revisit it and find things you missed. First thing you need to know, what is your end goal here? Where are you going to store your tree? All right, because we're after an end goal here. We're after an organized family tree with supporting documentation in a way that we can find it. Is your family tree going to be online? Is your main tree going to be online on Ancestry.com? Is it going to be in Family Tree Maker or some other desktop software? I'm going to recommend that you keep your, say, source of truth in your desktop software, whether it be Family Tree Maker, which is the one I use and the examples I will use, or if it's some other one. It doesn't matter, but if you have it in a desktop software, it usually gives you more functionality, which allows you to do more things. It'll give you publishing tools, those kind of things, better sourcing tools, and that'll be the way you go. So decide where you're going to go. Decide where you're going to store your documents. Here's the thing. I don't always store my documents. Well, I mean, I do put them and attach them into Family Tree Maker, but I don't always store them there. I found that if I actually have them on my hard drive in an organized directory, it goes a lot easier because not all documents are one per person, right? A marriage document can go for a couple. A birth document, that involves usually 3 people, right? Parents and a child. Death certificate may involve more than one person. Probate records, wills, all these things. This way you can make copies and put them in multiple places, organize them how you want. I'll show you more about that in a minute. Define a simple process. If it's complicated and you got all these rules and things you got to do, you're never going to do it. So I had all these different things that I used to do, and then I came up with this one process, and it seemed pretty simple. So, decide where you're going to store your tree. For me, it's Family Tree Maker. Decide where you're going to store your documents. My hard drive. Simple enough, right? I'm going to store them on my computer. I scan everything and put it on my hard drive. You need a backup. I learned this the hard way. I had a backup. I had it on a Western Digital drive. It was like, 200 gig. It was great. I could take it with me anywhere. The thing died. I was lucky enough I was able to recover my data, but I almost lost a lot of stuff. Multiple backups are probably a good idea. And if you have it all in one place, it's easy to back up. Define a simple process. Save a document, add it to your tree. And then you source it. And for me, those are my 3 steps. I don't always do them at the same time, but those are the 3 steps. So let me show you how I go about doing this. Like I said, you're going to look at this and you're going to go, Anne, that is not rocket science. And you know what? You'll be absolutely right. And I think this is why it works for me. All right, so let me go to find a grave just for an example. And I am coming to you from a hotel room off hotel internet, so I have no idea how speedy this is going to be. All right, so here's an example. Let's say that I am searching for, I think I can find her this way. One of my, no, all right, we'll do it this way. Let's do ready. I'm going to search for, I think he's my second great-grandfather, Ready Cash. Swear to you, that's his name. This is so cool. All right, so I find him in Find a Grave, and there he is, R.M. Cash, my third great-grandfather. So I have found this document on the internet. So what am I going to do? I'm going to save the document. How do you save an internet document? And this can work for any document, right? Whether it's scanned, you find it on Ancestry.com, it doesn't really matter. But this is just for example. So I use Snagit, and I make a copy of it. Like this. This puts it in Snagit. Awesome. I can then save it. And where I save all of these documents, it may be hard to read on your screen, but what that says right there is temp. This is a temporary holding directory where I save things so that I can then put them in my tree when I'm good and ready to. So I'm going to save it, and I'm going to call it Ready Cash. And you can call it any old thing, just so you know what it is that you're looking for. So find a grave. Awesome. I hate that acronym. Let's not use that. Let's just use this because that I find egregious. Okay, there we go. Saved. Done. And then I can keep going through Find a Grave. Let's say that I'm looking for a lot of documents, or I'm going through a newspaper, and I'm cutting and clipping. I throw it all in temp. Awesome. Then, when I'm ready, and it doesn't all have to be at the same time, right? I can then go into this temporary directory, and I've got a bunch of stuff here, right? I've got Ready Cash here. I've got a census. And you may say, why would you save a census? That's already on Ancestry. I already have access to that. Why should I save it and waste a lot of space on that? Well, that's really just up to you. But here's why I always save things. What if, for some reason, I don't have my Ancestry subscription anymore? It's hard to believe. But what if you don't? Then you don't have access to the documents anymore. So you might as well save them so you always have them. Also, it doesn't happen often, but on very, very rare occasions, we lose access. We, being Ancestry, lose access to the actual source documents. If you save them, they're yours. If you don't save them and we lose access, or you lose access to the site, you don't have them anymore. So always, always, always save a copy of the documents. That's one of my rules. All right. So, here we go. We have a whole lot of documents here. So this is the first thing. We save a document. Then I'm going to upload it to a tree. Let's try, which is the one I just had. Okay. We'll do Ready Cash, Find a Grave. All right. So I'm going to go over here to my tree. Hopefully y'all can see this. I know that but you know the process. We'll just go through it real quickly. I go over here to Ready Cash. And then I'm going to click over here on the Person tab. This varies across all different forms of ways that you upload to different systems, but to find Family Tree Maker, this is how you do it. I go down here to Death because this is what I'm going to document. Now I've already entered this one in, so but this is just for, you know, purpose of demonstration here. But if you're going to do something new, you would type in new. I already have Find a Grave as one of my sources, so I'm going to choose that. I'm going to go over here to Media. I'm going to attach new media. And I'm already in temp because I do this one all the time. I upload this. I mark it as a tombstone. I go over here to Source, and then I enter the Find a Grave source. All right. And I have that saved elsewhere. I copy in what I need, I update it, and I'm all good to go. So that would be how you would do that. And if you look over here, you can see I've already done this. Find a grave, I have in the rest of the source. If I look over here at reference note, it gives me the whole thing as it will appear. You know, find a grave, database and images, data's accessed, memorial for ready M cache. Actually, on the tombstone, it says RM cache, but on the actual page, it says ready M cache. So it's a bit, you know, you could go either way on that one. It's up to you. It has the memorial number, Stonewall Jackson Memorial Cemetery, Lexington, Virginia. And in fact, you might even want to put in a little note here. Tombstone says RM cache. Okay, whatever, right? But I've got it added to my tree now. So now I can go back to my temp directory and say, awesome. Now, wait, I don't want to delete it yet, sorry. Now I want to go to my temp directory. Now I want to go store this permanently, all right? Not just in my tree, but in a way where I can find all the documents I have on Ready Cache. And he is my favorite ancestor just because of his name. All right, so to do that, I am going to go, I should have brought this one up, sorry. No, I don't know what that is, but I want to do that. So I am going to go, I'm going to open a new Windows Explorer, and I'm going to go to my C drive, I'm going to go into this directory, I'm going to go in that directory, and then I have two directories here. I have one called People, and I have one called Places. Now Places is where I put things that are just, you know, like a local history of an area, those kind of things, or if I have large groups of documents that say I got from the Family History Center or something, I'll put them here. But I also keep directories for people. And this is how I organize them. And this is not like some super brilliant, earth-shattering organizing principle here. This is just really basic stuff. I know people by their last names and their first names. So, over here I have a cache. I don't have a ready cache. So what I'll do, anytime I get more than one person with the last surname, I will create a, like over here with Fazell, I will create a directory with just the surname, and then underneath it, I will put all the people. That makes it easier for me to organize. So I'm going to create a new folder. Where'd it go? Here we go. New folder. And I call it cache. I always capitalize, this is common in genealogy, capitalize the last name. And then I will put Ready M, so I have a directory for him. And then I'm going to create another new folder. Isn't this exciting to watch somebody type? All right, and I'm going to call it cache. Then I'm going to drop Martha and her father and cache. I've got ready here. And then I will, where is it? Everything I've got on ready, I can just drop in here. These are all the same tombstone pictures, so I've already got them recorded. Then I have, anytime that I want to find what I've got on a person, I can drill down and figure out what's there. Now, ready cache is one of a kind. If you search for him in our databases, you're only going to find one of him, which is awesome. It makes it real easy to understand or to mark him. But what if you have, and I have these in my family, more than one John Donald, or you have, you know, people that have the same name and you don't know how to distinguish them. There are a couple of ways you can deal with that. Over here, my Gillespie's. My great-grandfather was Wyatt Paul, but there's also another Wyatt, which was his great-uncle, and he was the son of Willis. So I'll just write out his name there. So if you don't have a middle name that's distinguishing, you can put, you know, son of so-and-so. And if that's not distinguishing, because in a lot of generations, one of the Scottish naming patterns, things will flip, you know, be James, son of John, son of James, etc. Then you can put dates on there if you know them. Whatever it is that helps you distinguish what you've got. So on my Donald's is I get another James. Here's James Henry and James Calvin, so it separates it. But if they all have the same names, then I can just put a birth date on there to help me distinguish it. It's not sophisticated, but it is fairly simple. And if I find things and throw them in here, then I know where I have them. And that is a pretty good trick. Now, let's see. If I go over here, and sometimes you might want to make copies, and let me show you a case where that would be the case. So I'm going to go over here into the Wallaces, and I'm going to go over here into Charlton. Hopefully I have this document here. I do. This is really cool. This is a marriage certificate of my great-great-grandparents, Charlton Wallace. I don't know what relationship William is. And there is Reddy Cash's signature. I love this document. It's like, see, he really was called that. All right, so what I want to do here, I would like a copy of that in Reddy Cash's folder as well. So what I'm going to do, you guys know how to do this. You do a Control-C. I go up here. I put it in Reddy's. And as I start to find documents, save them to temp, then when I'm ready, I put them up in my directory, or excuse me, I put them up in Family Tree. I can source them because you guys have been coming very diligently to my sourcing classes, and you're getting the hang of that. And then you can put it in its permanent directory, and you're ready to go. And then if you've got other documents, you can start to throw them in here as well. But then you have one location where you can find everything. And if you go by last name, this way you put in clumps of people to make it a little bit easier to find who it is you're looking for. Again, it is not what I would call rocket science, but I have been searching forever for a way to find to organize my documents, and I came up with this methodology about 4 or 5 months ago, and I was like, this is working. And I'm finding what I need. I'm getting things actually stored where I want them, and I'm getting everything sourced correctly. So, decide where you're going to store your tree. And this is your source of truth, right? You may have it in other places. You may have it online. You may have it on your iPad, wherever. But this is the one copy where I make sure everything's right. Decide where you're going to store your documents. Here for me, it's my hard drive. And you need a backup. And a backup could be all sorts of things. You could take your people directory, burn it to a CD. You could load it up into the cloud. That's questionable whether that works or not. I know some people love that. You can put it on another hard drive. You know, you can zip it up and mail it to yourself. You can put it on a jump drive. You could even make multiple copies. That's not a bad idea. Then use a simple process. Save the document, add it to your tree, source it. And if you do this every time, and if you just get in the habit of doing this, you're going to find yourself doing all the things that you need to do. Keep it simple. What is it, the KISS principle? I think that's what it is. All right, so that's how I organize. I'm not sure that it's the most brilliant thing, but it works. And I like it for that reason. Next month, and I don't know the exact dates yet, but I will be doing 2 more presentations. So I'm excited. Another one, the first one will be sourcing. I think that's September 5th. It's the first week in September. Not positive of the date. And I will be talking about how to source vital records. Somebody asked me those questions. And then later in September, I'm going to do a presentation on how do you know when you're right? How can you prove something, you know? You've got 5 different birth dates. How do you decide which one is right? How do you choose? How do you decide who somebody's parent is? You know, how do you construct that argument so that you've got a good answer and you're not just picking something at random? How do you know when you're right? So we're going to do that one as well. Hope this was helpful. As always, I love talking to you guys. And I will be on chat in a second. And if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks for joining.